I don't know
There
how
has
long this one was.
definitely been
Yeah,
a moment in
it's not that long. When a game changes genre, and it's got Ichiban and Clive on the thumbnail. So you know what, you know we have to look at this. Definitely wasn't mostly negative for the Ichiban transition. I don't know about, wait, how is FF16? Actually, I don't know how people have reviewed it. Metacritic. I don't care about reviewers. I care about users. 8.4 from the user. What does it have on Steam? Right now it is very positive. Can we see the actual percentage? Yes, it is a 76%. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I can certainly see that. Compare that to, Like a Dragon, which people... I'm surprised with how much of a genre switch it is that people still like it. Yakuza, Like a Dragon, 92.57%. And I think part of the reason why people like it is I think there are a lot of people that played Like a Dragon, like you, Ren, who had not actually played any of the earlier games and had no context of what was happening before that. Because, like, Yakuza wasn't popular in the West until relatively recently. Like a Dragon coming out, Zero coming out, and that's sort of that's the point where it even got attention in the West. Anyway, let's take a look at when a game changes genre.
There has definitely been a moment in your life where you finished a game so finely crafted, so well made that you end up watching the credits thinking, wow, I wish there was
Far Cry 3 was a really good game.
more of this. And sometimes you get exactly what you want, multiple times, way too many times.
And that's the problem that...
Holy shit, Ubisoft, please.
And that's the problem with Ubisoft. They get a formula that works, and they just keep doing it over and over and over and over and over again. We are so far past the days of Ubisoft trying new things and making something cool. They had something that was cool, and they just kept doing it.
Stop. Now, this doesn't just apply to Ubisoft. There are amazing series out there that start to get stale. Not just for us.
I disagree with Dark Souls.
Apply to Ubisoft. There are amazing
Incorrect.
series out there that start...
Your opinion is wrong. Your opinion is incorrect for the Souls games. I want more of them. Beat the horse. Keep beating the horse off. There is more to it.
Start to get stale. Not just for us, the players, but also...
Do you want to talk about a game that shouldn't have been made? Fucking FF15.
Start to get stale. Not just...
The problem with FF15 is not that it got stale, is that it tried to be too different.
for us, the players, but also for the developers, leading them to get burnt out creatively, which in turn makes them hate their jobs. The best way that they can combat this burnout is by creating a new IP or taking a huge risk and altering the genre of the series everyone knows and loves. And that risk is...
I'm ashamed I paid money for FF15. I believe I got it on sale. I wonder if the sticker's still on it. FF15. Yeah. So, my copy didn't even come with a box for it. Like, this is just their generic box that when they're in boxes. It cost me $18. Slightly raise video volume. I can do that for sure. There. That should be good.
One that has to be taken, otherwise every studio will become miserable.
Ooh, remember when Treyarch was... remember when Black Treyarch? That was cool. Remember when Call of Duty wasn't so over fucking done? That was nice.
Like the Call of Duty developers.
How long has this been going now?
Too long.
I lost track.
I think working in the coal mines, destroying your lungs, is better than creating the definitive boring-ass shooter game that has an $80 King Kong glove.
Jesus.
Sometimes this shift in the genre for well-established IPs can alienate existing fans.
Well, the problem with Final Fantasy is Final Fantasy... Okay, people have had this weird opinion of Final Fantasy for a long time, because there is a hard split between modern Final Fantasy fans and classic Final Fantasy fans. I've gone into this rant before, but Final Fantasy hasn't been a turn-based game since 2000 and... When did FF10 come out? 2001. 2001 was the last true turn-based Final Fantasy game. 11 was... 10-2 was a weird mix sort of system. 13 is... It has a turn-based interface, but enemies can attack you between the turns. And there's like a timer that goes. 13-2 is the same thing. I skipped 12, didn't I? 12 is also... 12 is also real-time, but you can, like, pause the combat. 11 was an MMO. 13, yeah. 13's ATB. 13-2 is ATB. 13-3, Lightning Returns. That's a different system. 14's an MMO. 15 is real-time, but you can pause it. And then 16 is full real-time. And then going to 7 is ATB. Rebirth is ATB. I believe Crisis Core... Is Crisis Core also ATB, like the remake? I assume all of the FF7 remake games are using the same combat system. I could be wrong, though. Is it full action, or is it... Well, ATB can mean two different things. It's a weird system. No, I don't mean original PSP Crisis Core. I mean the remake. Like the one that was released alongside the other FF7 remakes. Is it using the same combat system as the other remakes? Because I feel like it is. But yeah, my point being, people call like Final Fantasy a turn-based series because they haven't played a game since 10. CC Remake is just mostly visual upgrade. Okay, fair enough. But even before 10, Final Fantasy was always a game that experimented with stuff, right? Like, it was never just the same thing every time. Like, that was the whole point of Final Fantasy. Each game was very, very different. Until unless you played, like, the first couple of them, they were fairly similar. I think after 6. After 6 is where things really started to change up.
Like the modern God of War games, for example.
Yeah, they are not God of War games.
Whilst they are still technically action games, you cannot deny they are a complete shift compared to the originals. Whilst they were a complete success, it did alienate original fans of God of War, going for a more pretentious PlayStation story focus rather than...
Including the creator of Kratos, who doesn't particularly like Kratos.
trying to be a fun game, like the originals did. Look, this is how you scare a modern God of War fan. I understand why they did it. It's good to change things up a bit, but after the third God of War game in this reboot trilogy, when you bring it back, maybe zoom the camera out a bit more and get rid of our...
Oh, I guess if you make a third, sure. Hi, Debian user. Wait. Hi, Debian user, or you are a Fedora... What are you even saying?
Atreus. In fact, have Kratos kill him in the third game. Send him down a miserable...
Hold on, say that again.
God of War game in this reboot trilogy. When you bring it back, maybe zoom the camera out a bit more and get rid of Atreus. In fact, have Kratos kill him in the third game. Send him down a miserable, vengeful path again. That would be awesome.
That would be cool. I would like that.
There are two examples of games that had their genres completely changed at a certain point that I want to talk about in this video. One is regarding a franchise that I was already a huge fan.
I've not played Like a Dragon, but I do like... Just pause. I do like the rest of the Yakuza games, and Like a Dragon looks cool.
Of witnessing the genre change the moment it happened, and one is where I managed to get into the series I wasn't actually the biggest fan of because of the genre change. Honestly, this video just gives me an excuse to talk about them, so let's get to it. In 2018, back when E3 actually existed and these event shows weren't complete arse, the PC Gamer Show had a surprise announcement, and that was the fact that Yakuza 0 was being ported to PC. And I bought that shit day one, and I have not looked back since. This series is now one of my favorite series of all time, and what makes things better is the fact the studio RGG releases one almost every single year now. Sometimes
I really am worried what's gonna happen. I really am worried with how the series is going to go. There's no way you can keep that up.
Even 2 within the span of a few months. Yet despite this quantity, they're all still quality games. And don't feel like slop like most Western games that do the exact same over here. If you don't already know, Yakuza is an action game, where you're constantly getting into street fights, following a serious twisting narrative full of surprises, which is then contrasted by goofy shit you can do in the open world, like karaoke or posing half naked for a photo shoot, which ends in a
or voice acting in a BL story. Yeah.
Right, because this is a Yakuza game. Yeah, these games can get a bit weird.
Yep. Yeah.
What the fuck?
They kept up with this formula for years, with the only thing really changing being the combat, due to the fact they changed engines every now and then.
Well, they also added characters in, and you played different characters, so they felt very different.
Or the fact you were playing an older title remastered. Personally, by the time I got to the 4th game, I was kind of sick of it. And to be honest, this burnout hit even...
I wasn't at all. Not even close.
Harder in the 5th and 6th game. Especially the 5th,
disagree.
with it being an absolute behemoth in its length. Although 5 did introduce us to the best character in the entire franchise, Shinada.
Oh, fuck.
Who they do absolutely nothing with for some reason. They knew things started to get a bit stagnant, and I think the 6th game was the nail in the coffin for that. It was a good game, like, don't get me wrong, it's just if you play through them from 0 to...
Don't play game to game to game. Go outside. Go outside, play another video game. Don't play 500 hours of Yakuza in a row.
6, you get kind of fed up with the combat.
No,
Knowing this
disagree.
For the 7th game, they decided to switch things up entirely by turning it into a turn-based JRPG.
With a schizophrenic main character.
Because of the positive reception they received from an April Fool's joke. I'm not taking the piss here. This is something that would only ever happen with a studio like RGG. This change alienated a lot of original Yakuza fans, wanting a traditional action game like the previous entries. So a lot of them didn't actually...
Wait, is that...
Wanting a traditional...
Yeah, that's 5. What the fuck?
Traditional action game like the previous...
Akiyama is ridiculous in this game, okay?
Entries. So a lot of them didn't actually bother with 7. It's their loss at the end of the day because Yakuza 7 is peak. Within the 7th game, you don't play as the well-established protagonist we all know and love, Kazuma Kiryu. Instead, we're playing as an Eric Andre looking twat called Ichiban Kasuga.
Who's voiced by Nishiki's voice actor.
Him being the new protagonist is why the genre shifted, because the turn-based combat is the way Ichiban views any form of conflict through his eyes. This is mainly because he grew up playing the Dragon Quest games, and during the story he makes loads of references to the series, to the confusion of literally everyone else around him. He even gets a hero sword, but in the Yakuza way, so it's actually just a baseball bat wrapped in barbed wire. The way he gets it is this whole scenario too, where the bat is in the ground and no one is able to pull it up apart from Ichiban, because he's the chosen one, and he holds it up, making him look like a complete knobhead. In the later game Infinite Wealth, his party members Namba and Adachi actually join in on the whole Dragon Quest shit due to their bond, making themselves look like complete twats in public too. Regarding the actual turn-based combat though, normal enemies who pick fights on you actually transform into random-ass creatures called Sujimon, and it's another case where only Ichiban sees them this way, with everyone around him thinking he's a complete freak. There's also a theory that he has undiagnosed schizophrenia because of all this, and I think that's kind of funny. I really hope they address this in the 9th game.
That would be funny. It actually would be funny if they do make the schizophrenia thing an actual plot point.
Starring him, not the upcoming Majima one. Despite all of these changes, Like a Dragon is still a Yakuza game at heart. I mean, it is the 7th game in the series. If you look closely at the title, you can see a little 7 right there. Do you see it? So all...
Oh, wait.
Series, if you look close...
Wait, that's cheeky. I've never noticed that. I have a lot of respect for the designer who did that. That's actually really cool.
Mostly at the title, you can see a little 7 right there. Do you see it? So all of the staples that everyone all knows and loves is in this too. There's silly sub-stories, loads of mini-games, with some being so big they could probably be their own side game altogether. In fact, some of them are literally entirely different genres within themselves, like Dondoko Island, which is literally an entire Animal Crossing side mode. The only main difference between Yakuza and Like a Dragon is the turn-based combat, and I'm honestly really glad they made the change to turn-based, because I feel like if they stuck with it being real-time combat, Ichiban only really having a different fighting style, I don't think it would have had the same impact.
Probably not,
did.
yeah.
I know the genre shift alienated quite a few fans, but it seems to be a very vocal minority, because the series is probably doing the best it's ever done before.
Well, the thing is, it is... I did not see the 7. Oh... Let me go back to it. Turn your head a little bit. Yeah, let me do some magic.
The staples that everyone all knows and loves is in this too. There's silly sub-stories, everyone all knows and
give me the logo.
If you look...
Okay, let me do some magic. There we go. I should uninstall the other version of GIMP because I don't need it anymore. I don't know why I even have it installed. Let's give that a second to load. And then I can show you some magic. Imagine it just crashed. That would be funny. Create. Yep, there we go. Ah, perfect. Yeah, okay. So let's do this and go whoom. Now do you see it? Is this 3.0 RC? Yes, it is. That's the Katie screenshot tool. Whatever it's called. I don't know what it's called. But now do you see the 7? This is a really cool way to do it. Spectacle. Yeah, there you go. GIMP 4 coming midsummer 2074. Well, what they're going to do with GIMP is they're going to be updating it a lot quicker. They're not going to wait for giant mega releases. They're going to do these smaller minor releases, which should mean we get updates a lot faster.
Like Dondoko Island, which is literally an entire Animal Crossing side mode. The only main difference between Yakuza and Like a Dragon is the turn-based combat. And I'm honestly really glad they made the change to turn-based, because I feel like if they stuck with it being real-time combat, Ichiban only really having a different fighting style, I don't think it would have had the same impact.
Well, there are mods for this, and it's cool, but, like, I do really think that the new style actually it plays into what Ichiban is as well, because, like, the whole schizophrenia, Dragon Quest thing, like, it allows you to do so much more that just wouldn't really make sense with a real-time combat system.
Impact it did. I know the genre shift alienated quite a few fans, but it seems to be a very vocal minority, because the series is probably doing the best it's
And I think this is also from the fact that because it is a new main character, there are people that are able to play the game without necessarily going back and playing the previous 6 games, or 7 if you include 0. You should play them, but you don't need to.
Done before, and they don't plan on ever slowing down, especially with experimenting with the genre of the series, with them sometimes going back to and expanding on the action combat, and even going off the rails. I mean, the next game is a literal pirate game. Us Yakuza fans are eating so good. Yet you wouldn't know, because Yakuza fans are some of the most ungrateful twats around.
8 if you include Gaiden? That's fair. Actually, well, I mean, when Like a Dragon came out, Gaiden wasn't out back then. I guess now, yes, Gaiden is a thing.
Yakuza fans, nobody hates the games more than us. Now let's talk about a series that took the opposite direction, going from the turn-based genre to the action-focused one. And that series is Final Fantasy. Now we all know what Final Fantasy is. It needs absolutely no introduction. In fact, it's older than probably 90% of you watching this video
15.
right now. That also includes me, and I'm 23, so you know I'm getting up there. I already feel my legs giving out. Now, unlike
Get
Yakuza,
to the gym.
I've never really been a huge fan of Final Fantasy. I've tried to play a few of them, especially the most most well-received ones, like 10, but...
I thought you were going to say one of the most well-received ones, like 15. Okay, good.
I just bounced off them after a few hours.
Ha 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 ha! Ha 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 ha!
Final Fantasy has actually been experimenting with the genre for a while, but never to the point
Since,
of
like,
truly
the
shifting,
90s.
if that makes sense. Like, for example, Final Fantasy 15. On the outside, it looks like an action game, but whilst playing, it feels like a weird-ass hybrid between turn-based and real-time action. It's
It
like
feels
they didn't want to
bad.
fully embrace either side, and it just made the combat feel like it was designed by aliens. The same goes
Yep, very true. I don't know who the fuck thought 15's combat was a good idea. I think they just need to ship something.
for 7 remake.
Well, also 15 when it originally, back when it was versus 13, I believe like the early combat we saw was, it looked ATB to me. I'm pretty sure it was gonna be an ATB game, which I think would have worked so much better.
And people have made their opinions very clear on these games, not in the most positive ways. So the
15 was mediocre. I don't think, there's like one person who doesn't like 7, or the 7 remake. The 7 remake is massively successful. People love the 7 remake.
positive ways. So the developers finally decided to accept this truth and embrace the action genre.
Devil May Fantasy is a lot more of a problematic one. It was always meant to be an action game. We didn't have KH like UI and a super old screenshot. No, I believe it had more of a turn-based interface in old screenshots. I could be mistaken. Yeah, no. Actually, maybe it would have been Kingdom Hearts. Like, it's kind of hard to tell, right? It's from this UI, it's really hard to tell what it was going to be, because it might be like ATB, like where you can like move around a bit and you can use your menu, or it might have been Kingdom Hearts, because this would work with either system. This is kind of like the interface that 12 had, so which makes sense considering when it was originally being worked on. So it could have been either way.
Final Fantasy 16 is peak. This
God
is
game.
exactly what I've personally been wanting from a Final Fantasy game, and I would have never
I wanted an RPG, but it was a good game.
been able to experience this if it wasn't for a genre change. In fact, I've enjoyed this game so much that it's made me want to go back and give the others another shot. Final Fantasy 16 goes fully into the action combat, completely
Too much.
getting rid of any form of turn-based elements. Square Enix
And gearing, and party mechanics, and anything relating to elemental resistances. It's a Devil May Cry game.
made sure they wanted to do this right, hiring a fella named Ryota Suzuki who has a track record for working on the Devil May Cry series. You know, the peak of the action genre. So they chose very well, and it means I can rate this game with a triple S rank. You can really feel the Devil May Cry inspiration with the combat of Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah.
Even taking some elements and moves from the series. You're able to wield 4 different types of magic, with each one having their own skill tree, with even more equipable magic. And you can mix and match all of these in the combat to create some disgusting looking combos. Since it's a Final Fantasy game,
disgusting, because I can't see them. I do like 16, but it went way too hard with the effects.
All out with the spectacle of these two, and it doesn't just feel like style over substance. Not only having everything look incredible during combat, but also making you feel awesome for pulling off half the shit you're able to do. 16 also follows the trend of other Final Fantasy games of having you fight literal gods. And I felt like with the turn-based combat in the older games, you didn't really get to feel how big the scale of these fights truly were. But in 16, oh boy, the spectacle of some of these fights are actually unmatched. Especially when the main character Clive becomes his icon Ifrit, and shit becomes a fucking kaiju battle. Oh, and the soundtrack that goes along with some of these? Holy shit, man.
Yeah. Who did the soundtrack for 16 again? I actually don't remember. FF16 composer. Ah, right. It was Soken. Yeah, right. I forgot that Soken did it. Who also did FF14, which also has fucking incredible music. Most of it. I think Endwalker was someone else. It is a very fun game. I hope they lean off of the...
these games are peak.
I do hope they lean a bit off of what 16 was, and like, I hope they just... I hope they embrace what 7 Remake has done, because people really like that. When people talk about the Final Fantasy going real-time combat and them not liking it, it's always 16 and 15 brought up. No one I've heard complain about 7. People like 7 because it is still an RPG, and that's the problem that 16 has. I don't think anyone would have an issue with 16 if it was still an RPG. Yeah, it needs to have those JRPG mechanics. It needs to have a party system. It needs to have a gearing system. It needs to have a crafting system. It needs to have elemental resists being a thing. The fact that you can fight a giant fireball using Ifrit abilities, that should give you some sort of downside for doing so. Oh, that's the end of the video. That's a good video. I like it. Like a Dragon looks cool. I need to play it eventually. 16's a cool game as well. I hope they learn for 17. I really do. Same go for future streams. Is there anything else on the playlist? Can you send the link again? I don't know where the link was. It was somewhere up in the chat. Oh wait, I think I found it. Hold up.